In Chapter 9, Section 2, we're looking at multiplying and factoring. So first, let's look at just multiplying. This is exactly like distributive property, except now we have a coefficient, a variable, and an exponent that we need to multiply. But all we're doing is same as distributive property. We're taking the negative 4y squared, multiplying it by 5y to the fourth, 3y squared, and 2, because we have 3 terms within the parentheses. If you had 4 terms, you would have to multiply it 4 times, so on and so forth. So first, let's look at the negative 4y squared times 5y to the fourth. In order to multiply this, all you need to do is multiply your coefficients. So negative 4 times 5 would be negative 20. Then we take the y squared times y to the fourth. Remember, when you have 2 bases and you're multiplying the powers, you actually add the exponents. So this would be y to the sixth, like that. Next, we'll multiply negative 4y squared times 3y squared, but you have to be careful here because there's a minus in front of it. So if it helps you, change this to plus and negative so you don't forget that you're actually multiplying a negative 4 times a negative 3, which would be positive 12. And then y squared times y squared would be y to the fourth because we add the exponents. And last, negative 4y squared times 2, all we have to do is multiply negative 4 times 2, which is negative 8, and then with the y squared. You could put minus 8y squared or plus a negative 8y squared. Both of these would be fine, but that's it. That's your final answer right there. All you have to remember is to multiply the coefficients, add the exponents. Now we'll do the exact opposite. Now what they're going to do is they're giving us a problem like this. This is where we start, and they're saying now factor it out and turn it into this. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, we're going to be factoring this. So think of this as like the answer to the distributive property. What we're trying to do is take out whatever these 3 terms have in common, and that'll be our final answer. So what we want to do is we want to figure out the greatest common factor. That'll be the easiest way to factor this out. So I listed all 3 of my terms, and we just want to list all the factors of each one of these. Well, the factors of 3 are simply 3 and 1, so it's just 3. And then x to the third would be x times x times x, which would look like that. For 12x squared, I think 12 is pretty easy, but just to refresh your memory, you can do a factor tree. So you would do 4 times 3. 3 is prime. Break down 4 into 2 times 2. So it would be 2 times 2 times 3. And then for the x's, since we have 2 of them, I just put x times x. And then last for 15x, again 15 can be broken down into 3 times 5. Those are both prime. So it's 3 times 5 times x. Now if you're looking through here, what we want to find is what do all 3 of these have in common? All 3 have a 3 and an x. So that is what we will be factoring out of this problem right here. Let me show you how to do it. So what we want to do is from each of these we want to take out a 3x and multiply it by something so that we get this answer. Okay, so what we're doing is we're taking out the 3x. So look at just this term right here. We want to pull out a 3 and 1x. Well, since we just have a 3 here, there's the only thing you can multiply it by to make it equal 3 is 1. Then as far as the x's go, we pulled out 1x, but we have 3 total x's here, so how many are left? 2. You don't even need the coefficient of 1. You could just put x squared. Either way, it doesn't matter. So it would be 3x times x squared, because when you multiply these, this is what you get. You get 3x to the third power, because remember there's really a 1 right here. Okay, now let's do the 12x squared. I'll just put a plus sign here. It really doesn't matter. You'll see why in a second. You could put the minus here if you prefer. It doesn't matter. So if I have my plus sign here and I want to pull out the 3x, what will remain? Well, again, I need to count for that minus, so I'm going to put a negative. What do I need to multiply by 3 to get 12? Well, that would be the 4. And then since I pulled out one of the x's and I have two x's here, I'll have one x left. So that would be 3x times negative 4x, which equals negative 12x squared. And last, we want to factor out the 3x, this is positive, the 3x from the 15x. So what do we multiply times 3 to equal 15? That would be 5. And since there's one x that we pulled out and there was only one x here, it would simply be 3x times 5. Now, since we have this 3x that's repetitive, what we'll do is we're going to pull that part out. So it's just 3x. And then in parentheses, we'll put all three of our terms so that it's just one big problem. And it looks like this. So you have 3x. I put the x squared here, minus the 4x, or plus the negative 4x. And then I put the 5 here, because what that means is, since it's all in parentheses, it means you're multiplying the 3x times each of these terms, and then to check your work you can actually multiply it, and you should get that as your answer. So think of factoring as just the exact opposite of multiplying. And that's all for today. Bye guys.